All right, here we go again. All right, hopefully to try to bring some form of education. Somebody had asked me, Pastor Dow, we know that you are a gun advocate. And that's how they word and phrase it. Okay, and then they asked me, what's the best gun for home defense? And what is the difference between the people in the country and the people in the city as far as attitude on guns? And I guess I paraphrase it about as best as the question, as I can remember the question. But anyway, let me go ahead and give you the answer. Okay, number one, urban America and rural America, depending on what state you live in, more than likely are never going to agree concerning what the Constitution says about the right of the citizenry to keep and to bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. And then, of course, we can go off into the debate about a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free state. I mean, we can go on all day long with the Constitution. And believe you me, like I said, most people, I guarantee a lot of pastors, I give you an example, don't do exactly what I do. On my desk here in my office, I actually keep a copy of the Declaration of Independence, as well as the Bill of Rights, but also keep a copy of the Constitution of the United States of America. And of course, that's also with a copy of the scriptures that I actually have behind me right now. A copy of the scriptures. All right. Now, first and foremost, all truth should actually be coming from that book right there. And if you're going to understand throughout history the way that people carry themselves, it's an automatic. The Hebrews were charged to arm themselves in the face of tyranny. But let me get to the questions here. Urban America and rural America, country and city, they're simply just not going to agree. I mean, the people that live in Chicago, or the people that live in L.A., or the people that live in New York, whoever has the ability to be lawmakers or have some type of influence on legislation. Number one, legislation has never stopped a crime, never has, and never will. That's the first thing that people need to understand more than anything. And then number two, when you have people that live in these population centers, which I definitely do not advocate. I think it's nonsensical. I think it's the heightened sense of stupidity to be lumped up like a bunch of sardines in one can in a city environment to where you can't trust these people. You can barely even trust your neighbors out here in a rural area. But if there's an EMP or a world without rule of law, do you really truly think that you're safe living in that place? And just, somebody that has just common sense, which is definitely uncommon today, or if they just use logic and reason, if they really truly sit down and begin to meditate on this, they will say, you know what? This is not intelligent for me to live in this area right here, considering all the things that's going on. I mean, after all, the crime that goes on out here in this rural area pales in comparison to what takes place in the city every single day. So you're going to have people that's going to disagree. And nobody is going to bridge the gap or close the gap on the people who live in rural areas as opposed to those who live in the urban areas or the population centers. And that's just a fact. Myself, you can tell, I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-sword. I'm pro being able to identify, or let's say defend yourselves against all enemies, be they foreign or domestic, no matter who they may be. And of course, a lot of people think that since they see a gun, that this automatically makes me violent. Okay, I'll ask you a question. When I was a paratrooper in the United States Army, and I carried a firearm, I carried a 9mm as well as an AR-15 M2. So, was I a bad individual then? Was I a threat then? Was I a menace to society then? No, because why? I'm following your conservative view that government has a right to be able to regulate, and government has a right to be able to put into whoever hands trained citizenry or trained soldiers any firearm that they deem. Also have a German Schutzsneer. And of course, those of you who been in USERA, you understand exactly what I'm saying. When I tell you that I have a German Schutzsneer, and that is no easy task to obtain that particular award. But it doesn't make me evil. It doesn't make me violent because I'm carrying a gun now that I'm in a civilian sector. Now, I do not carry this gun on a daily basis. But I think that a lot of people need to understand this, and they really truly need to come to grips at it. Let's look at facts of history. When we look at people like England, we look at people like Australia, or let's say the countries of England and the countries of Australia, and a lot of other of these countries that have been, that dominated pretty much by European law. Are these people better off since they've taken the guns out of the citizens' hands, or are they worse off? Well, when you look at statistics, they're actually worse off because crime has actually increased. It's actually went through the roof. You know why? Because you have taken away from the people the ability of them to be able to defend themselves. And you have to understand, when you have a particular society to where only the police or the law enforcement and the criminals have guns, and you take guns and you legislate it away by a stroke of a pen out of the hands of the law-abiding citizens, then there's another class warfare that's going on right there. And criminals do not obey laws. They have no intention of obeying laws. I mean, I don't believe that people should actually go out and get a state license in order to do something which is already your right, especially guns. But to avoid the stress, which is a damn sad situation in this country right here, to avoid the stress of a system that does not obey the laws that it make, it's best to go out and get a carry permit so that you can avoid a lot of undue stress, because you're going to do jail time. You're literally going to do jail time in this wicked country that is a forked tongue and is double-minded and two-spirited. So, carrying a gun is prudent in the time that we're living in now, given the environment that we're living in. Anytime we have the government fudging the numbers and cooking the books and trying to tell you what the unemployment rate is, when really, truly, you should be looking at the labor rate. And you have well over 11% of the people in this country that are unemployed. And then just teenagers, black teenagers in themselves, you have well over 25% of the population of the blacks in this country that is totally unemployed. So your government is lying to you on every hand. And if they're going to lie to you about this, you better believe they're going to lie to you, and they have lied to you about what this document says. So it's best to educate yourself. So the truth is, every single law that is passed to make gun legislation is only imposed on the citizenry that literally is law-abiding and obey the laws. I mean, really, criminals are not going to obey it. We have police officers, cops, killing folks, just murdering them in cold blood almost every single day. And that's what they hate more than anything, because now you have YouTube and all these other different social media outlets. Now the eye and the skies you never know when you're being recorded. And all this stuff has happened all this time. It's just that a whole lot more attention is being brought to it. Still, nevertheless, remember, the police work for the king. And anything that the police do, an attack on the police is an attack on the king himself. Most people need to understand history. But to sum it up in a nutshell, get out of get out of city environments. Arm yourselves for the protection of you and your family, and be prepared. Because, it does no good to go out and buy all this, an arsenal of guns, if you want to call it that, be it assault weapons or whatever. You got senators up here, as wicked as they are, talking about, well, I voted for a ban on the assault weapons. Well, damn, are you going to start banning baseball bats and knives too? I mean, it's just a nonsensical thing. I mean, you look at the laws we got in this land, it's stupid. I can carry a pocket knife, right? Probably ain't no more than this long right here. But then all of a sudden I can't carry a sword that's 4 foot long. But I can carry something more lethal than a pocket knife and a sword. And I don't have to be close to you to actually do damage, which is a pistol or a firearm. We are retarded people in this country. And I don't mean, and I'm not making fun of anybody that has natural retardation. We are just flat out a people that claim to be educated, smart, but we are retarded as hell in this country. We're definitely uninformed. We are a trained people, not educated. And it's just ridiculous what is going on. Sometimes I think I'm living in the Twilight Zone. All right, let's go on to home. What's the best weapons of choice, home defense? You may get many people that come up with many different answers and stuff. But I mean, as far as the best weapon for home defense, and I'm sure everybody out there that is actually in the community to where they advocate guns for home defense or weapons, I'm sure they all will agree with me that a shotgun is probably the best weapon to have for home defense. I mean, after all, a Remington 870 and a Mossberg 500. For instance, I have a Mossberg 500 tactical right here. And, you know, there is something, criminals are usually the most ignorant, dumb, stupid people on the face of planet Earth. They're not intelligent at all, unless they're sophisticated criminals that are trained. And usually those that are trained in that area has been trained by our military. But anyway, everybody, even if they have never, ever, ever heard this sound before, check this out. Woo, that gets the attention. I mean, just that sound alone will cause people to flee. I mean, if you are a woman at home with your children and you notice somebody's in the house, they don't even have to, you don't even have to see them. If you go, watch these people start making holes in the wall and start taking off running at that sound. I mean, listen to this. Whoa! Does that not send chills up and down your spine? And guess what? You don't have to worry about accuracy. You have reliability. You don't have to worry about accuracy whatsoever at all. You could turn around and use 2 3/4 7 shot, 8 shot. Of course, I like using 4 shot. But I tell you what, a woman, you can pick this thing up and you can make this sound. Tell them you better get out of my house, and you're going to start seeing people make way to get out of your house. Just at that sound alone. And you don't have to go out and have thousands of hours on the range or expend thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of bullets. All you have to have is 4 or 5 rounds in the chamber right here. Know how to do that. Ooh-wee. You point in the general direction after you have given a warning and they're not moving out. Fire! Boom! I promise you one thing. And then you go ahead and charge, get ready to do it again. Man, you're going to see people, the criminal will probably run through this cinder block wall, getting away from this and all the death, hell, and Hades that's going to come out at the end of this gun right here. So my personal choice, because it's very easy for people to use. This is a 12 gauge right here. It's a 12 gauge. It's a Mossberg 500 tactical. You don't have to get a Mossberg 500 tactical. You can just get a regular Mossberg 500. Or you can get a Remington 870. You can't go wrong with shotguns because they're easy to train on. They're easy in function and use, and they're not that expensive. Now, this one costs somewhere close to $500 and stuff, but you can get a Mossberg 500 probably about $360 something and stuff, and learn how to load it, learn how to shoot it, go out and just spin a few rounds. And boy, and after you get proficient with this thing, which don't take long at all, I promise you, you have got the best home defense weapon on the face of planet Earth. And just like I said, you could be a woman, 5'2", weigh 100 pounds. And if anybody who is an intruder in your house trespassing, they hear this, that is a universal sound that gets the attention of everybody, even if you are ignorant of guns. I hope I, some way, somehow, added some type of value, meaning knowledge and wisdom, to your comprehension, to your understanding. And women, sisters out there, if you don't have one of these in your house, ask your husband why come you don't, and tell them this is recommended by Pastor Dow himself, and that's the truth, And that's the true straight way.